Morning, gardeners and homesteaders. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And I'm a little bit late. I do apologize. I messed up my timing, but I wish that everybody had a very Merry Christmas. And we're getting close to a new year and a new month. So I hope everybody has a very happy new year. But welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead. So it is close to the next month, January. And I want to I just want to tell you what I'm going to be planting in January. So this is the kickoff. This is when it really starts to ramp up as far as our seeding goes for winter into spring and summer. But I do first want to check on this low tunnel. If you remember in a previous video, I was trying to see what the raised temperature would be, and we're going to go over that real quick, and then we'll get into what we're going to plant. Got down to, I believe it was 27 degrees 2 nights in a row, just to give you a recap. So we did one night with a low tunnel in, nothing in it except for a temperature sensor to see what the temperature difference was, and it was 1 degree warmer for just the low tunnel on there. And then what we did the next day when it hit 27, let's go ahead and take this off so we can look at it. Well, first let me get the weight off so I don't tear it. So this will be with nothing but thermal heating, I guess is what you would call it. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. But all we did was simply take this 5-gallon bucket of water right here. And the water is actually fairly warm still. Not totally warm, but we just added that in there. And that's it. And you can see up there is our temperature sensor. It is 27 degrees. Everything looks just the same way it was before. It's recovered nicely. And drum roll, please, 2.5 degrees warmer. And I know what you're thinking, well, it's only 2.5 degrees warmer. Yeah, it is only 2.5 degrees warmer. But at 27 degrees with lettuce, that can be a little bit temperamental, especially when you start getting repeated colder and colder days. 2.5 degrees is a world of difference for that. So not only that, but then you add on top of that the actual structure that raises the temperature faster in the morning, and you've got a recipe for success. So all in all, I would say it was a win. If I put another bucket in there, which I don't think I'm gonna do, but I may, and if I do, I'll bring you those results, it would probably raise it even more because it's more thermal mass radiating that heat out. Now, the way that usually works is, I'm not gonna trip and tell you that this whole thing was warmer, but I can tell you that around this bucket right here would have been warmer because it was radiating the heat out. So ideally what I would do is I'd put a bucket here and then I'd put a bucket over there, and then we could radiate out amongst it totally. So that can make a big difference, and it did make a difference. I would continue running tests back to back to back, but at this point, the nights, we're gonna get back into the 50s at night for a couple of days. So it's just, when it gets cold again, we'll do some more testing on it, but I was surprised that it did keep it 2.5 degrees warmer. So just adding a bucket added another 1.5 degrees to the low temperature. So you can see how this works. Pretty much a success. You probably got a bucket laying around, you got water, if you got rain barrel, totally free, raise the temperature. It's a beautiful thing. Now, as far as getting into starting seeds for January, planting into, February, March, April, all that stuff, I will say this off the top. I'm not gonna give you my zone anymore because as far as vegetables go, it doesn't matter. I'm in coastal North Carolina, so we're not overly cold, but we do get cold nights. As you can tell, we've been in 27 degrees. It's just now right before Christmas, and our garden's full, as you can see, as full as we want it to be. We could have more in there, but this is as full as we want it to be. And if you want seed starting dates for your area, you can email me at sandybottomhomestead@gmail.com, and I'll make you a seed starting chart for you to your specific area. Just email me and then give me your state and your city that you're in, and we'll make it happen. The first, I think it's 10 people are gonna get 50% off. So definitely email me if you can, and I'll put the link below, or not a link, but I'll put the email address with a little line that says that's what we're gonna do. But as far as starting seeds for me, I may or may not start some more onion seeds. it just depends. It's getting a little bit late now, but I could still squeeze in one more round. You have to remember too, as I talk about these things, I sell seedlings as well. So a lot of the plantings that I do will be for the seeds or for the seedlings that I'm going to sell, because what I find is a lot of people don't start until much later than they're supposed to. So we want to be able to provide for them. But we're going to start some cabbage, and we're going to start some broccoli. So those are like the hardiest of the hardies. I could start collards, but I'm not going to, just simply because we have them in our garden. Same with kale. It's already in our garden. It's not going to die. It's not going to go anywhere. So we'll have that all set up. So that'll be around the 1st of the month. We'll start those. And what we're going to do after that is we'll start cauliflower and cilantro. So we'll start that. And then for the greenhouse, we're actually going to start our Chinese cabbages for those. But if it wasn't for the greenhouse, then we would wait about a month to start those. So we're going to do that too. Rutabagas will be maybe towards the middle of the month, and we're kind of judging off the weather at this point. So depending on how cold it is, we're going to start some rutabagas, some cilantro, and then we'll also, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, there's a couple that are like iffy, and I don't really want to mention them because they're not definite, but later on in January, probably around the 15th, we'll start our lettuces. So we'll start lettuces to go outside roughly, we'll probably plant them out in mid-February-ish, maybe all the way up to March. And I'm also going to be on the lookout for potatoes at this point. So, and I'll do a whole video about the potatoes when and if I get them. I'm going to try and find them locally. Order them just doesn't ever work out for me. But the tomatoes will not be going in January, but we're going to be preparing them to plant. So that's, you know, you're not technically starting seeds, but we're kind of working towards that. And we're also going to be working on our sweet potatoes, trying to get, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of my sweet potatoes that I harvested last year and really look at them and see which ones are chitting, which ones are too small to eat maybe. We do keep the small ones to eat, but anything that's like excessively small, but it's starting to chit or even not, we'll try and like force it to start making sprouts. So we'll start that process in about mid-January, just kind of really looking for it, not really doing a whole lot, but it's really going to start kicking it off. And then also in the middle of January, I'll probably start my first round of peppers. So I'm going to do a test this year with peppers, and I'm going to plant more mature peppers with immature peppers and see which ones produce more. I don't know how well it's going to go, but we're going to do our best to do it. So we'll start our first round. And typically I do start those in January because they take longer to germinate than like your tomatoes and stuff like that. So at some point from January 15th to February 1st, or just to keep it in the even month, January 31st, we will start peppers at some point. We're going to start a whole tray of them. And I've got a bunch of varieties. So I'm going to be doing lemon peppers, peach flavored peppers, mango flavored peppers, hot peppers, sweet peppers, you name it, we're going to start them. And we'll start that trickle. And we'll do another mass planting in February too, but we're going to start it then. And then the rutabagas, again, we'll do another round of those probably right at the end of the month. There's kind of like a fine line. And if we want to do more bok choy, then we'll start those too. So you can see at this point, we're doing all of our leafy greens during the month of January, and then we'll be tapering off into February, but we'll still be doing more. So you can see how that works. So I'm curious to know, let us know in the comments what seeds you're starting in January and getting ready for your spring planting. So most people should be starting something in January. If it's onions, which is the coldest thing that can go into your ground, or cabbages, something can get started. So let us know what you're doing. You may find it hard to believe, but we're going to also be planting some stuff in the ground. And this isn't on the realm of vegetables at all, as a matter of fact, but we're gonna start our wildflower patch, excuse me. So we've got this little area here that the chickens cleared out, and we're gonna run a tiller over it from the bonsai bench all the way over to here. And we're gonna just run the tiller over just to scratch up the surface and pull up anything that may have survived. And we're gonna seed our wildflowers. And that'll kind of just sit, we're gonna time that around a rainstorm of some sort, hopefully not a real heavy one, but some kind of rain will time it out. So this is really important because you're gonna have a lot of wildflower. I got a bag of them, it does like 280 square feet, I believe. And a lot of those are mixed with annuals and perennials, but some of them and a lot of them actually need to go through a stratification period, which is a hot, cold process. And so here we have those days, because it's yo-yo season, we're gonna take advantage of it, where it's gonna get cold, it's gonna get hot, warm, not hot, but cold, warm, and it'll kind of break that cycle, release that seed and let it start to germinate. So we're gonna start seeding a lot of the areas that you may have seen me clear out with our chickens earlier in the season. So we're gonna be doing that. We're also, I'm still debating on what to do behind the wild garden. We may plant some out there, I'm not sure, but we're gonna go ahead and prepare it as if we were, because I have a plan B if I don't. But then, so that'll be planted, and then we've got a couple other things that we have to do in our garden in January. So like I said, this is really starting to get serious now at this point, where we're starting to, like, our plans are gonna come into action. First thing I'm gonna do, and this is just for me, but I'm gonna remove this limb cluster right here on this tree, because this limb cluster is actually what's blocking the sunlight getting into the wild garden. You can see the storm blew over that crappy greenhouse. I've got to fix it, but we'll go ahead and remove that. And then we're also going to take down this defunct pear tree. So in January, that's going to happen. And then we're also going to start putting our beds to bed that need to be put to bed. So we're going to be doing this garden bed right here, and we're going to be amending it, covering it, resting it. We're going to fill this bed up as well and get ready to plant it. So the plant date for this garden bed is going to be in February. So we've got until February to get this garden filled up. Then we're going to empty out the rest of this low tunnel bed here and put it to bed. So that'll rest until the potatoes go in there. So, I mean, it looks like there's a lot in there, but really there's probably 2 weeks worth of food in that bed. So we're not overly concerned about getting it out, but we'll clean that out, put it to bed, remove the low tunnel off of it. We may put it somewhere else just to kind of help out, speed things up. Hopefully we'll be starting to harvest our Brussels sprouts and we can kind of get on that. I may end up putting this bed to bed too after the Brussels, depends on when they come out. We may leave it blank for spring, I'm not sure quite yet. And then no matter what the case is with these rutabagas, they're all coming up. You may remember I was discussing how they got a little too much nitrogen and the roots actually turned out long instead of wide. So we're gonna end up harvesting those. I want you guys to remember something. If you've got stuff in your garden right now, we just passed the winter solstice. So if you're not familiar with what that is, it's the point in which the earth is the farthest away from the sun. It's the longest night and the shortest day. But as you're watching this now, you're gaining 1 to 2 minutes of daylight a day. So we're just getting brighter and brighter, longer and longer, which means, in theory, if the temperature works out right and everything goes to plan, the garden should start picking up. This was the dormant period. So what you'll see, like in the greenhouse here, the greenhouse will actually start to really ramp up in about 2 weeks from the time of this video. Everything's really gonna start growing. So we're gonna be clearing out this bok choy and eating it. We'll be re-fertilizing this because this is warmer, so we need to put more fertilizer in it and keep it going. So this is all gonna get revamped and worked up, and really, it'll start growing super fast. I mean, you can see now, the back row here, like the kale and the mustards are really starting to grow a lot faster. And I guarantee you, by mid-February, some of this stuff will be starting to bolt. So we're gonna be harvesting as much as we can off of this now. And these lettuces, they're all gonna be nice and primed to go. We should be planting those little Caraflex cabbages in this greenhouse in January. That's my plan. So about mid-January, I plan to put those in there and let them grow out. And as far as like the cabbages and stuff go, if they come out, then we'll put this bed to rest as well. We're just gonna kind of plant it by ear. We can't rush it, but we will, once we start to get a little bit longer, warmer days, about mid-January, we're gonna feed it heavy. And we're really gonna push the growth on it and try and get it to kind of head up and kind of turn that corner. And then no matter what, we'll start harvesting some of the cabbages, and then it'll be a slow trickle after that. So it's been a while, it's been a wait, but we knew this was gonna happen. We absolutely knew it was gonna happen this time of year because it always does. And then once we turn that corner and we start getting those longer days and the slowly warmer temperatures, I'd say by mid-February, we'll start getting a couple 75-degree days here and there. You know, maybe one a week or something like that. But that's all it takes for these vegetables to really take off. And that's why that's our target planting date. So you can see we've got a lot going on here. And as far as a wild garden goes, we're gonna do the same thing where we're, like I discussed in the previous video, we're gonna chop the greens back in January. We're gonna let them fall. We're gonna mend those beds, and we're gonna let whatever's there growing that we wanna leave growing is gonna grow, and everything else is just gonna rest until it's time to plant. And then we can kind of get a head start and get a really full, complete planting come spring. And now the other thing we're gonna do is this year we're gonna start selling pollinator flower packs. So what we'll do is we'll probably start like a 6-pack of flowers, pollinator friendly flowers, and we're actually gonna start them in the greenhouse. So same thing, stratification, doesn't take up any room in my house, and we can put them out here. We've got that little shelf and just let them kind of do their thing as they see fit. So in January, we'll start those as well. And if for some reason we get abnormally warm, which I don't foresee happening, but you never know, we'll pull them out during the day or at night on the like not so cold nights and just kind of let them do that stratification process. But this is a good use for the one teeny weeny shelf we have in here, which on there I can put 18 6-packs. So I figured out 18 6-packs, and then I can also put on each of the barrels in here, I can put 6 6-packs on each one of those. So we'll probably have that filled out too. But the ones that go in the barrel, we won't take out because the heat radiating from it will always keep them where it acts kind of like a heat mat. So we'll keep those going as well. So, and then on our trellises, this is a really good time. As long as your soil is workable, which means it's not frozen solid, you can plant snow peas. There's a reason why they're called snow peas. So we'll probably be planting those as well and getting a head start on that and just kind of let that fill out. And then come probably early March, we'll be starting to get a little bit of a harvest. And then April, we'll be harvesting all we can. Last year, no, the year before when I really did them, I took a break from them last year. We were getting a pound of snow peas a day, which at our local grocery store is about 12 bucks. So we were getting $12 worth of produce a day off of our trellis. So you can see it really does make a difference. As far as today goes, the only thing I'm doing today is since I've got this row emptied, we're gonna go ahead and chop this row and we're gonna put the rest of our onions in. We had a little bit of overshading going on from the bok choy. So we did this double row here, and I mean, you can barely see them now, but most of the ones on this side of the double row survived, and these on this side got shaded out. So we're gonna go ahead and fully plant these out. So after today, these will all have onions in them. I was just waiting for the weather to turn and see if we can get it to kind of be easier and more gentle on those seedlings. So we're gonna get those in the ground and we're gonna fertilize them heavy and let them sit, and hopefully we'll have a good harvest this June is when we harvest our onions. So you can see January starting to speed up a little bit. We wanna be timely and we want to assess our plan and make it happen. And speaking of plan, during this month, I'm gonna go live on YouTube here, and I'm gonna make my garden plan using the Planter app. So you guys can, one, see the app, but two, really see, and I'll talk about my thought process behind when I'm planting, what I'm planting, and how we're gonna rotate after that and the plans for each bed. So we'll be doing that at some point too. I'm trying to work out the technical details after that about how, so you guys can see it easily. So we'll do that. And then if you guys want a customized seed starting schedule for yourself, don't forget you can email me at sandybottomhomestead@gmail.com and we'll get that to you. It'll really help you get moving forward in your garden, and hopefully you can get stuff planted and be way more productive, and even maybe squeeze out an extra season in your garden that you didn't know you could do.